Are you having to print a lot of 3D metal parts to avoid deformation? So we should talk about Atlas 3D. Okay, so before we talk about Atlas 3D, we should really get a firm grasp on what the issue is. When you print 3D metal parts with additive manufacturing approaches, you use a laser with metal powder, and that heats it up and sinters it together. However, that has to cool down. And as it cools, you actually have shrinkage in those parts. You can actually end up with deformed parts or parts with deformations, and they don't match the original shape within the tolerances you specify. That's a big problem. A lot of times it takes companies 4, 5, 6 times before they actually get something that matches what's in their 3D model. And you can vary the orientation, you can vary the geometry. So what does Atlas 3D do? Well, Atlas 3D is a cloud-based solution. So what you do is you upload an STL or a 3D model into it, and then it runs the 3D printing process simulation of how the part is going to be made. And then what it also does is it uses something called a thermal circuit analysis. And it watches how the part is going to be cooled. And actually, they've drawn some interesting conclusions here. They've found that really you don't have conduction out into the powder because there's so much air in it. You actually have conduction through the supports down to the print bed, right? So you're only going to have thermal conductivity that way. So that represents the heat loss. So what it does, not only does it do the analysis, the thermal analysis of how this thing is going to cool off, but it then runs 100 of those in different orientations with your part. And it's kind of like an optimization. They're looking at all the possible permutations along with different structural supports. And you actually have a lot of different controls over what those supports look like. The idea is the first time you go to print the part, it actually works. It actually matches what you intended to do within the constraints that you specified. So there's a lot of value in this, and it's a nice granular solution, and it can help you get the printed part right the first time. That's it. Take care and talk soon.